The weakest growth in a decade, record current account deficit, and the rupee touching yet another low, just short of 62 to the dollar. In the midst of this turbulent economic mess, India is all set to get a new RBI governor. 50-year-old Raghuram Rajan, India's chief economic advisor, who is credited with having predicted the global financial crisis, will take over as the central bank governor next month. But the big question is, can he help reboot India? Hello and welcome to this special show. I'm Shweta Rajpalkoli, and joining me today, the most credible names in the world of business to talk about the way forward for the Indian economy. Let me introduce our guest, Dr. C. Rangarajan, Chairman of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council, Mr. Narayana Murthy, Executive Chairman of Infosys Technologies, Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, CMD of Biocon, and Dr. Arvind Virmani, former Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India. Thank you all for being with us here on the show. Let me start by straight going across to Dr. C. Rangarajan to get his views on the appointment of Raghuram Rajan as the new RBI Governor. Sir, given the fact that policymakers seem to be fighting a losing battle against the plunging rupee, what does his appointment really mean for the Indian economy?
It's an excellent choice. Raghuram Rajan comes with outstanding academic credentials. For the last 1 year, he has been deeply involved in policy making in India. Earlier, he was the chief economist at the IMF. He had the opportunity to observe what is happening in the financial markets all over the world. All in all, I think it's an excellent choice, and he would provide effective leadership at the Reserve Bank. Now, of course, the immediate problem that Raghuram Rajan will have to deal with is the volatility of the foreign exchange market and the volatility in the rupee. Having addressed that, he need to go to other major issues confronting monetary authorities, such as maintenance of price stability, stimulating economic growth, and creating a vibrant financial system in our country. But as I said, he will provide very effective leadership at the Reserve Bank.
Mrs. Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, if I could ask you as an industry person, do you really see the appointment of Dr. Raghuram Rajan as something that can bring about that much needed change, given that at this time we seem to be in a clear economic mess, whether it's the rupee or growth, and nothing seems to be working for the economy right now?
Well, Shweta, I think, it is an excellent choice. I think Raghuram Rajan certainly understands the Indian economic environment extremely well, having had such an insightful, view of the global economy and understanding the global economic crisis well before it happened. Now, having said that, I think he does have a huge challenge ahead of him. I think the current account deficit is something which everyone is extremely, concerned about. But more than anything else, I think, investor confidence is something that really needs to be boosted in every possible way. And I think this is something that Raghuram Rajan is extremely aware of. In fact, in his own words, he basically said that poor and slow decision making is hurting the economy. So I do hope that he will take the right decisions and timely decisions to reboot the economy. Having said that, I think many people have clamored for lower interest rates, but I think it goes beyond interest rates. I think interest rates are only part of the investment climate needs of the country. I think it is about decision making, it is about approvals, timely approvals, and I think this is what he needs to also focus on, because he is one person who has been asking for a slew of reforms. He is somebody who's constantly been demanding for timely decision making, approvals, and that is something that is really hurting the economy. So I think if as was explained earlier by Mr. Rangarajan, I think certainly the currency levels have to be addressed, but beyond that, I really think investment needs a very, very keen support. It's not just about FDI, but it's about investor confidence in domestic investment. And I think here we have to look at the infrastructure projects. We have to look at the non-performing assets on our public bank accounts and things like that. You know, I think these are very, very critical issues. And I think at him being at the helm of affairs, I'm sure he will be able to really address this in a very, very aggressive manner. I mean, he's got to be tough. He has to really stand his own ground and see how he can really address the present economic challenge that we are all facing.
Right, a lot of hopes clearly being pinned on Raghuram Rajan. Mr. Narayana Murthy, of course, the weakening Indian rupee is a bright spot for IT companies. So I'm sure you per se are not complaining. But for policy makers, it's become a major headache. And that clearly will be the toughest task ahead for the new RBI governor.
Well, you know, first of all, let me say that it is a great pleasure to hear that Raghu has been elected or has been appointed as the next RBI governor. Raghu is an extraordinary individual, having studied at IIT Delhi, IIM Ahmedabad and MIT. You can't ask for any better pedigree. Having been a professor at Booth School at University of Chicago, I mean, he understands modern capitalism as good as anybody else. Having worked in IMF and having had an independent mind to balance modern capitalism with the realities of the current world, I think he will take judicious decisions. I have no doubt at all that he will turn out to be a very, very good RBI governor. I must say RBI has been very lucky in having had excellent governors in the last 20 years, and therefore I think he will be yet another jewel in the crown of RBI governors.